Hi all, hello, welcome, welcome. I'm just setting up my iPad so that I can read what's going on when I flip my camera later. I'll just wait for some more people to come and follow on because I know there's lots of you coming on tonight. While we're waiting for everyone, maybe let me know where you're from. Hi Cassia, hi Cara, I saw you pop on there earlier too. Let's get rid of my sound. You can see me, excellent. Okay, hello, hi Cassia, how you going? Hi Cara, hello. Who else is on tonight? Have we got any people? I'm doing this Periscope mainly for the people in a colouring in of Australia and New Zealand Facebook group that I'm involved in. They've asked me to do a few tutorials on colouring in with pencils, etc. So tonight is our first one. So hopefully there's a few of you joining us on the app. Otherwise, I am expecting you'll be following along on the computer. Thanks, Cara. Hi, Belle GB. How you going? All right, so there's a few of us on now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the camera around because you don't want to see my face all night because obviously we're going to be doing some colouring in. Some of you may or may not know that you'll need the colour wheel and also the colour chart. If you haven't got them tonight, not all's lost. You can review this Periscope afterwards, and you can print off my copies. I've done some copies up for you off of my website on www.kerryscraftycardsandcuts.com.au. So they're available free of charge on my website if you want to use them afterwards. Otherwise, if you have printed them out and you've known about this, then you can follow along. So I'm just going to change the camera around quickly so that you can see my colouring in. And I am sure my hubby will be coming in here in a minute because he's getting a cup of tea ready for me as well. We've just finished dinner. So I'm just going to quickly play along with this. Oh, I think we're all good there. Now, just got to get my camera nice and still. Okay, everyone looking good there. So what I'm going to run through tonight is using the colour wheel with your colouring in pages. There's been a lot of comments lately on the Facebook page, the colouring in Facebook page, that I haven't got enough colours to work with. Well, in fact, even if you've only got 12 colours, you've got like heaps and heaps of colours to join. Hi guys, hi Bumblebee, hi Crafty, someone missed your name. Oh, we're all popping on now. Awesome. Hello, everyone. We're doing just a little bit of a tutorial tonight on colour blending and using our pencils with our colouring in pages. Hi, Ree. How you going? Gosh, you go by lots of names, don't you, Ree? I'm going to have to learn your names. So we're going to start off with the colour wheel. Some of you may have printed them out. Some of them may not have. As I said, if you need to print them out or want to print them out after, you can go onto my website and print them out at www.kerryscraftycards.com.au. So first of all, we need to work out on my colour wheel, I've got obviously primary, secondary, tertiary and complementary. Who can tell me what a primary colour is? Who can tell me what a primary colour is? I'm not going to move on until someone can hopefully tell me what a primary colour is. Red, yes. Red, blue and yellow. Yes, correct. And why are these three colours? Like, what's so special about these three colours? Why are they called primary? Yeah, why are they called primary? Does anyone know? Can anyone tell me? They can make new colours. Yep, that's right, Ray. So red, blue and yellow are primary colours because you can't make them. Exactly, Cara. That's right. So you can't make these colours. So on our colour chart, we have 3 primary colour spaces. Yep, excellent. Yep, because you can't make them from any other colour. So I'm going to get a blank wheel out here, and we need to put a P in one of the triangles. So I've just put my P up here in this triangle, and I think my hubby might be coming in with my cup of tea now. Thanks. Yum, tea. All right, that's going to keep me replenished. Hopefully I won't need to go anywhere. Hello for all of you who are joining me. All right, so we've got primary. Now our next space on our colour wheel needs to be a tertiary colour. Does anyone know what a tertiary colour is? So that's the T. So we're looking at tertiary now, which is our next triangle along. Can anyone tell me what's tertiary? What is a tertiary colour? Can anyone tell me? Does anyone know? Again, I'm not going to move on until I've got an answer. What's a tertiary colour? A mix of primary and secondary. Excellent, Ree. Yes. So that's a mix of primary and secondary colours. So which obviously leads us on to our next. My next question is, what is a secondary colour? What is a secondary colour? Yep, primary plus secondary is tertiary. What's a secondary colour? Can anyone tell me what a secondary colour is? Purple, orange and green. Yeah, and why is it purple, orange and green? Two primary colours mixed. Exactly. Excellent. All right, so we all have worked out what a primary, secondary and tertiary colour is. So a primary colour stands on its own. You can't make anything else with it. A secondary is 2 primary colours mixed, and a tertiary colour is a primary and secondary. So what we're going to do is just move around our colour wheel. So we've got primary, tertiary, secondary. Then we've got tertiary again. Then we've got a primary, tertiary, secondary, tertiary, primary. Have I missed one? No, tertiary, secondary and tertiary again. Beautiful. So what I want everyone to do is to grab their red pencil. The middle line is going to be a complementary colour scheme. So I'm going to go through that in a minute. But what I want everyone to do is to grab their red pencil, and I want you to colour in fairly hard at the top of your colour wheel in red. So fairly firm with your red. So moving in small or rather big circles is better rather than up and down, because you're going to get a more consistent colour. Who's got their colour charts with me tonight? Who's got their colour charts? Has everyone got their colour charts with them? Otherwise, I will skip some steps. You have. Excellent, Ree. And are you colouring in at the same time? Excellent. Thanks, Kathy. If you haven't, obviously you can go off quickly now if you want and go and print them off my website at www.keryscraftycards.com.au. All right, so once you've coloured in that one, we're then going to go and just colour in lightly, light to medium, your other 2 triangles. Now I'm just going to do this really roughly. I'm not even really going to pay much attention. Now your first colour wheel may not look exactly right with your colours, and that all depends obviously on the first 3 primary colours that you've chosen. Because I've obviously had a little bit of an experiment with them, I know what colours work. But same, for example, if you had a dark blue, you may not get the perfect green or the perfect purple. So tonight, the first one you do is a trial, and then go back and try again. It's all experimentation and practice as to what is best for colour blending. And I'll explain a little bit more on the secondary colours in a minute. So the next one we need to colour in is obviously our next primary. So you can go for your yellow or your blue, doesn't really matter. I'm going to do yellow this time. So again, fairly firm on the first triangle, Now, if you've got any questions as we're going along, please let me know. And if I'm doing something too fast, please let me know. So quickly over there, and then we're going to colour in just lightly our triangle. Now, the reason I'm running you through this is that I think it's important that you understand what a primary, secondary and tertiary colour and also a complementary colour is, because it's got a lot to do with when you start to blend pencils together and colours to pencils, colours to pencils. Blend your colour pencils together. I've had a long day, and obviously our last one is our primary colours, blue. So we're just going to quickly colour that one in. And then colour lightly on your other two, as so. Alright, so is everyone keeping up? Everyone all good? Can I go on to the next step? Everyone got what they... So you've got your three primary colours, red, yellow and blue. Alright, slowly catching up. Excellent. Just let me know if I'm going too fast or not fast enough. So I'll move on to our secondary colours. So as we established before, our secondary colour is two colours, two primary colours joined together. So this secondary colour here will be red and yellow, which obviously makes orange. All right, so when we're trying to mix our two coloured pencils together to get the best blend, we need to work in a clockwise direction. So we're going to put the red down first. So putting our red down again fairly firmly. Got something underneath, which doesn't help. Let's get that one out of the way. Fairly firmly. And my colouring in is shocking tonight because of the angle I'm doing it at. But you get that. Alright, so we've got that one down. And we obviously need to put our yellow on over the top. So again, fairly hard over the top. And you can see as you're colouring in that it's starting to actually turn orange anyway. Alright, as you're colouring, putting your yellow over the top of your red, you can see it coming through. Now, if I wanted to make that a bit more consistent in the terms of I want an orange, you can grab a blending marker. Now, I'm going to use my Chamelon marker tonight, but you can use your Copic blending marker. You can use a pencil blending marker. Anything. Now, a blending marker is basically a marker that has no ink in it. So it's an alcoholic, or obviously a pencil that has no ink or no colour in it. If you don't have a blending marker, you can always use a white pencil. It doesn't give the same effect, but it's still good enough for your colour chart. So you can always use a white pencil if you don't have one. So what we're going to do is just slightly colour over our picture, our markers, and you can see now that that's really changing. The alcohol in the Chamelon is changing it into orange as it's blending together. Okay, now afterwards you'll always find that your marker will get really, really dirty. Make sure that you clean that off, otherwise it will stain your marker. So that's basically rubbing it on. Now I'm finding the Chamelons actually soak up heaps and heaps of your colour. They seem to be really, really juicy. So I've just saved this one for my pencils because I know that I'm going to wreck it because it's so soaky. The Copic, I've had to play with my Copic and that's not too bad. So yeah, just rub it off on another piece of paper until your marker goes clean again. All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. So this next secondary colour is 2 primaries. So we've got yellow and blue. So we're working in a what direction? Which direction are we working in? Can anyone tell me? Anyone tell me what direction we're working in? You're all busy clockwise? Exactly right. Yep, that's right. Kerry, hi. Late to the party. Kerry tells what specific colour she is using. I'm not telling you any specific. I can tell you I'm using Faber-Castell classic colour pencils in the 48, and my blues that I'm using a blue 354, a yellow 304, and a red 318. So that's what I'm using tonight, Kerry, but everybody might have different pencils. So you might have Crayolas, you might have more artistic ones like the Derwent, etc. So all I'm doing is getting everyone just to choose your own. I'm here, but my computer doesn't let me type. No, it doesn't, Nikki. Yeah, I know. That's the one thing about Periscope that, yeah, won't let you do is on your computer. You have to be on your iPad or your iPhone. So, yeah, anyway. Yep. So, yep, the version run. Exactly, Harry. And seriously, it doesn't matter because you can always go back and do another colour wheel with 3 different colours. Three different primary colours that you have, like tones that you have. And then I am on computer and you're commenting. Ah, there we go, Cara. Cara, if you're still around. That's interesting. Sorry, we're playing with that. No Apple in this house. Android works. Okay, well, there we go. All right, so we're working in a clockwise direction. So we need to start off obviously with our yellow for our next secondary colour. So the girls who have just joined in, what I've gone through is basically a primary colour is red, blue or yellow. You cannot mix these colours together. Our secondary colour is 2 primary colours joined together, and our tertiary is a primary and a secondary. We always work in a clockwise direction when we're colouring in our secondary colours. So we've gone through and we've just coloured in red, yellow and blue, and now we're going through our secondary. We've just done orange. We're going to do our green now. So colouring in first of all with our yellow. And going over the top of it in blue. And as you do it, you can obviously see that it's starting to go green. Hi, Ron Thimble. How you going? Oh, and it asked me to download Safari. Oh, yes, on the computer. Yes, it will. I tried to get mine on the computer the other day and it wouldn't even work, so I'm not sure what's going on there because I use my iPhone and my iPad. So as you're colouring in, you'll notice that it will start to turn green. And this is shocking colouring in for me tonight. Ignore all that. Again, going over with your blender if you've got it to try and fill in all of those white gaps. So basically what your blender is, it's moving the colour around to fill in all those white gaps and to combine your colours together to create your solid colour. And again, depends on your pencils that you've got, depends on how good they actually combine. Obviously your more artist pencils will combine better than mine will, my Faber-Castells, but they do a pretty good job. So combining together, and you can see obviously that's green happening there. So then you should do light over dark. Yeah, well, you can. And that's really a tertiary colour too. So if I was doing green and yellow, green yellow, which is a tertiary colour, then I would actually, like, my last layer would be yellow. Does that make sense? But yeah, primary color, secondary colors, you always work in a clockwise direction in your color wheel. I mean, in most cases we wouldn't be trying to mix a green, because most of us have greens in our stash. I mean, green's a pretty common color, so you're not necessarily going to be mixing with greens. But if I was going to go mix a green yellow, which is not so common in our stash, then I would yeah, I would do the darker one first, and then I would put the lighter one, which is the yellow, over the top. So if you wanted to, you could go through with this color wheel now, and which is why I asked some of you to print off too, and you could color that in with green instead. It doesn't really matter, but I think this way it's just giving you an idea. Hi Rachel, how you going? It's just giving you an idea about how to mix the colors, and I think it's really important that you understand the concept of mixing colors, so that when you go to color in your coloring in books, then you've got more color choice. Does that make sense to everyone? I'm hoping I'm making sense. Anyway, we'll move on to our next section colors. So again, clockwise direction, starting with our blue and our red to make our purple. So just coloring through. Oh, and I should have said, in this case here, we don't have to blend them. We'll just go back a bit too, into making sure that you do your light colour all the way through as well. Just medium. And it can be done rough, because all you need to do is to see the two layers, so that you know that you've put yellow and blue together. And obviously our red and our yellow together. Missed a step there, didn't I? All good. So back to here, we've got our blue and our red, which make purple with Hope. Now again, I find the purple colouring, this purple is not a purple that I would use. In most cases we have it in our collection, but it's the understanding of what you're doing. So blue and red make purple. And just trying to colour in together. Whoops. Oh, it's not very purpley there, is it? That's my terrible colouring in tonight. Well, it's kind of purple, but you can see as I wipe it off, it is actually purple on the thing. And again, depends on what blue and what red you use, depends on what purple you're going to get. Alright, so once you've done that, finishing off with our middle colour. And our red over the top to make purple. Oh, I've gone so out of the lines here, but anyway. You get what we mean. Alright, so tertiary colour. Alright, as we established before, our tertiary colour was our primary and our secondary. So the tertiary for this one will actually be orange-red. So we're actually working in an anti-clockwise direction now. So the first class we started off with is a red. Right, and then we want to go yellow to make orange, and then we want another layer on top of red. And you will notice that there will be a difference between the three of them. So starting off with our, what did I say, red. Again, working really hard. Is everyone keeping up with me and understanding what we're doing here? Just establishing our colours. And our understanding of them. Keeping up, excellent, Ray, fantastic. All right, our yellow over the top. And I should have gone all the way down. I'm going to watch replay as I missed the beginning. All good, Rach. All good. You can probably see what I'm doing anyway. I think you're a clever chook that you can probably work out what we're trying to do in learning primary, secondary, tertiary and complementary colours at the moment, before we go on to our next step of the actual fun of colour blending. I know you would understand. My marker wasn't very well cleaned off then last time. Let's just clean it off, and then going back over. Come down there. So you can see that there's actual like difference in the shade of your colours. So the next one, the next tertiary colour would be orange yellow. So we obviously start off with our yellow because we're working in an anti-clockwise direction. So starting off with our yellow, and then we're going to go red, and then we're going to go yellow. Does that make sense? No, we're going to go yellow first. Sorry, yellow, red, yellow. Yes, that's what yellow, red, yellow. I'm getting everyone confused. So anti-clockwise. So starting off with our yellow first. I'm getting myself confused now. Red over the top. And then yellow over the top of that again. And you'll notice that this one here is obviously lighter because we've got more yellow than red in this one. And there should be a difference between your three orange colours, and that's because that should have more red in it and this one should have more yellow in it because of the way that we're mixing. All right, so we're going to go through here again. So we've got green yellow. So again, you can either grab a green pencil and colour in with the yellow on top if you started off with this one, or you can do it so you can learn a bit more about them in yellow, blue and yellow. So we're starting off with our base of our yellow. Then our blue. And then our yellow. So this one should hopefully be, let's lose the brush tip. Hopefully I haven't cleaned it off enough. So that should be lighter than your green, with hope. You should notice a slight difference in it when you're mixing it. Again, if you don't have your blender, for those people who have just rocked up, if you don't have a blending marker, then you can use a white marker, or you can just leave it. As it's just a rough guide, it doesn't need to be perfect. It's not like you're colouring in your colouring in books. So just for your understanding. Next one, obviously, we've got blue-green, which is one of my favourite colours. When I'm colouring, I always end up doing the greens, the blues, the blue-greens. So we're going to start off with our blue first because we're working again in an anti-clockwise direction to get our tertiary colours. Because it's a blue-green, we want more blue in our tertiary colour. So blue and then our yellow to give us green. Now usually when I'm colouring, just a tip, usually when I'm actually colouring is I actually colour with the point in a circle. So that's how I usually colour in my books. Some you'll notice will go like that, some will be like on a slight angle, but the best technique is to be on top of your pencil, so at the ball of your pencil, and actually colouring in a circle. So that's the technique I actually use in my colouring in books. I've got my stand here for my phone and things, so that's why I'm struggling to colour in properly. And then we've obviously got our blue on the top. How's everyone going? Is everyone understanding all of this and got the idea of everything? It's really just to help you understand what colours blend with what to make what. And if you understand that, you'll find that you'll have a lot more colours in your range, even with just 12 pencils, if that's all you've got. So yeah, you can notice that that's a little bit lighter, that's your green, and then that goes a bit darker because that's got more blue in it. So our next one is purple blue, because obviously we're moving in an anti-clockwise direction, so we need to start off with our blue again, and then our red, and then our blue. Oh, and also, don't forget your middle bits. Don't forget your middle bits. They don't have to be spectacular. So just roughly over the top. And then blue. So obviously that will look a little bit bluer, hopefully, than your purple that's in your secondary colour. Again, you can use purple as your main colour if you've got a purple in your stash. I saw someone the other day that said, oh, I don't have a purple. Well, guess what? If you mix variations of your reds, which you usually get 1 or 2 different coloured reds, and your blues, then you'll get different coloured purples. So you can extend your pencils stash for that. So, you know, again, I've got several different purples in my stash there. And blue on top. What do we do here? We did a yellow. Blue and yellow. And here we do blue, yellow and blue. Yellow, blue, yellow. Alright, and then our last one here, and I've missed out there, but anyway, I'll go back and do that one. Our tertiary colour from here, working in anti-clockwise direction, so we've got red, blue, red. Pencil, sharpen my pencil. And you can colour blend through that. Alright, so now we've got all of our colour wheel all coloured in. In the middle here, I've just got to finish, red, blue and red. We've got our complementary colours. Now, who knows what a complementary colour is? Who can tell me what a complementary colour is? Who can tell me what a complementary colour is? Sorry, it's been crazy. Secondary? No, not secondary and primary. That's a secondary and primary is a tertiary colour. We're looking for a complementary colour. Does anyone know what a complementary colour is? Can anyone tell me what a complementary colour is? Anyone? I'll give you a few seconds. I'm just trying to think what I'm doing here. I'm doing yellow first. Opposites of a colour. Yes, Ree, exactly. So complementary is an opposite colour. All right. So now we've got our colour wheel. We can see cross on the other side of, yep, exactly. So green with red, opposite on the wheel. Yep, exactly. Purple with yellow. So now we can actually clearly see our opposite colours. So just so that you've got an understanding of what you're doing, you can then go through and you can colour your colours that you've just done on this side now on top of your wheel in the middle if you wanted to. All right, I'm not going to go through that now because obviously it's going to take us a while to do it. But so for example, we've got orange and we've got green as our complementary colours. So we would then go through and create green, which is yellow. So I would colour yellow on top of this, and then I would colour blue. All right, so it's just giving you the concept and the idea of what layers the pencils can go into to create new colours and obviously your complementary colours. Does everybody understand that? Everyone got that? Everyone kept up? Everyone got some sort of basis of our colour wheel? Because obviously it's particularly the outside. I don't mind the middle section. Yep, the middle section, the reason you've left that light is so that you can see which colours you've used to create your external. All right, so now that's a really good reference. Obviously up the top I've got what brand pencils you've used, if you've got different pencil brands, and also the colours that you use. So you can actually label, as you can see in this one here that I've done previously. I've got yellow 307, red 318 and blue 354, which I am possibly, no, 3. See, I'm using a different yellow in that one. And I'm using a 318. I'm using the same red and the same blue. So different yellow. So as even tonight, you can see that a different yellow has given my chart a different colour effect when I'm colouring in with my pencils. All right, so just pop that colour chart in front of you. And this is where all the fun comes in. Obviously, we're not going to do any colouring in our colouring in books, but this is just going to give us an idea of what colours we can mix together and what blends we get, so that we can obviously then match them into our colouring in book if we need to. I'm only using a pack of 48 pencils tonight, so it's a relatively small pack, considering some of the packs out there are 70, 71, 75, whatever, and 150, etc., etc., depending on what brand you're using. So I'm using a relatively small pack just to show you how many colours we can actually get. So what our colour chart is it's mixing our complementary, our colours together. So it's working with our secondary colour, so our primary colours to get our secondary colour. So, for example, if I was going to start off with the blue-green chart, which I've started here, I've gathered together all of my blues. Alright, so I'll just grab all my blues now. I've started to put it together, so I've got all of my blues. Where's my other blue? And obviously all of my yellows. So I've actually got 2 yellows in this pack. And by mixing your colour, which you now know that you put your yellow down first, and then you yeah, your blue over, your blue down first and your yellow over the top, it creates green. So that one obviously hasn't got my yellow over the top. So I can pop my yellow over the top of that one. To create my green. And all I've done is gone through basically my pack of pencils, and you can then clearly see, and I've actually labelled them, so I've got blue 347, blue 43, blue 345, blue 354, blue 353, and I've used exactly the same yellow on all of those, and you can see how many different colour tones, you know, different greens that you can actually get. And then you've also got the greens in your pack that you can use. So you've expanded your 48 packs of pencils to hundreds and hundreds. It is awesome. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different colours. So, you know, you really don't have 48 colours. You've got hundreds of them. So my suggestion to you is that you go through and photocopy off heaps of these, print heaps of these off, and go through and make all your colour charts out. And you can even get as extensive as your green, yellow, and use your greens over your yellows to create and see how many different colour matches are. And then you can know as well, when you're colouring, you can look back on these as a reference and work out what colour would best suit where. And how each colour basically blends with each other. And there may be colours that you look at and you're like, oh, yuck, I do not like that colour at all. I'm not going to use that colour. And that's fine, but you know, you've now got a general feel of the colour pencils in your stash. So do you go over them with a blending pen? Yes, I do. In this case, these have all been gone over. So I've gone over with my colours, my Chamlon colours pencil or colour marker. So that's alcohol based. You can also do it with a Copic. You can also go over them with a white pencil if you don't. So I can go over like this one. It doesn't blend as well with your white pencil, but it still helps you sort of get the colours in together. And it depends on what colour look I'm like, we're a bit wobbly here, what I'm actually like looking for. So if I was wanting some blending, we're wobbling here, sorry, I've just knocked my colour chart. If I was looking for say for example a leaf, but I wanted the green flicks into it to get a yellow kind of green type blue like looking leaf, I could flick through that, and then I could flick through, let's choose, I'm having trouble choosing what colour blue I am using tonight. I could then colour in over this if I wanted my feathering looking type thing. Sell blending pencils. Yes, they do. Yeah, I missed half the rest of that comment, but yes, Prisma do sell blending pencils. They don't come in your pack, but they definitely do sell a blending pencil. They also will suggest you a blending marker as well. Up to you what you use. And again, it's personal preference. It was just the fact that I've got a alcoholic based marker. A bit better than, yes, definitely Ree. They definitely work much better than a white pencil. If you really don't have one, then a white pencil will do. And it depends on how thingy you want to actually get with your colouring. So, you know, if I was doing something like this, where I was wanting to create a shade on a leaf and have green underneath as my underlying, then I would just leave that. I wouldn't actually touching it. Kaiser Craft blending pen. Ah, is that an old one, Kathy? I didn't even actually know that they had one. Blending pen, yeah. No worries, Ree. Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, use colourless because it doesn't affect your colours that you're working with. Yeah, Kathy, I actually didn't even realise I made one. It must be fairly old. So, yeah. Has anyone got any other questions that they want to ask or anything they want to know? You bought it from me a while ago. Did I actually sell them? Oh, I know which ones you're talking about. Sorry, yes. Kaiser Fusions, your fusion marker. Yes. Sorry, I now know what you're talking about. I've just clicked. I've just looked at them. Yes, you can use a Kaiser Fusion. Yes, that would be fine. Stampin' Up's probably got one. Oh, who else would have one? Anyone that has alcoholic markers would have a blending pen that you can use. Sorry, I'm just taking a sip of my tea, which is now cold. Has anyone else got any other questions or something they'd like to know tonight? I've pretty much covered what I wanted to cover, and I hope that kind of gives you, like with the colour wheel, gives you a kind of an idea about, you know, your primary, secondary, tertiary and your complementary colours, to be able to create new colours with a limited stash of pencils. So, you know, you don't have to go out and buy 150 pencils, because in fact out of your 48 stash you've probably got 150 colours there that you can work with. Obviously it's easier if you've got your single colours, but yeah, you can do what you have to do with the colours that you've got. Did anyone want me to run through like the watercolours or anything like that? I've got watercolours here, so that's fun. Yeah. I actually, you know what, Nikki, I actually really enjoy like testing out different colours and mixing them together. And it would work. Yes, it does. It works with your Copic, like it works with your Copic markers as well. Cassia wants watercolours. Yes, all right. So if we were doing watercolours, when I'm working with watercolours, I go through, have I got a spare colour wheel? I probably don't have a spare colour wheel here. That was really bad of me, wasn't it? All right. We are just going to go with the colour chart then. We all understand the colour wheel, so we don't have to worry about it. So all I've got here is 24 of the watercolour pencils, again, Faber-Castell. And you know what? The brilliant thing is you can actually, sometimes when you get them, the colours are, they're not exactly the same, but they're pretty much the same. I mean, obviously you're using a different media, you're using wax, whereas this one reacts with water. So the colour pigments are going to be slightly different, even though they look the same, if that makes sense, because of the way they react. So I'm going to get mine mixed up here now. So if I was trying to, we'll do stick with the green colour. So again, I've only got, I'm looking at blue, aren't I? What am I doing? I'm going to get these all out the way so I don't have to do it. So the blue, the only blue I've actually got in my stash is that one, plus I've got a couple of different yellows, and I've obviously only got green, so we make green yellow as well. Just having a little look in my stash and saying, oh, Crayola pencil. I have no idea how that one got in there. I was colouring with my kids yesterday, so the same thing probably happened. Now when I'm doing my watercolouring, I use a water brush, which looks like this. It's plastic, obviously, and you fill this up with water, and then the water seeps out the brush, and as you, I don't know if you can see that, but it's obviously wet on my finger. So yeah, snap. Yep. So let's just start off with our blue. So very lightly. You don't need much colour, otherwise it does spread a bit far. I've started off a bit dark there, but that's all good. And then I'm going to colour over with my yellow. And I actually quite like watercolours because they leave a better finish, so they make it look a little bit more greener. So just adding that blue through. Alright, and then combining together to make green. Obviously, if you wanted it darker, you could colour in a little bit stronger. If you wanted to like go from a dark colour down the bottom, you could start off by colouring in very dark to get your shading in. And then colouring over the top with your, not my blunt, let me sharpen that. That was a bit too much, but anyway. Going over quite dark with our watercolour pencil. I find watercolours too, like they tend to blend better as well. So like without even using my blending marker or my water, that's actually blended a lot better to create my green. So again, just dragging, wetting all that and then dragging my colour out slowly. Slowly. I'll have to go back in that a bit more. Probably done it a bit too heavy there, but anyway, we'll get the, you get the idea. Out to the outside of my circle. So you can see that it's got that same effect as you can get with your Chamalon markers, of that blending from a dark to a light colour. And obviously I'm using 200 GSM paper, so you know it's not, it doesn't actually go through with your water brush. If you're fairly light-handed with your water and your markers, it doesn't actually show through on your 200, so it's not too bad. Alright, so if I wanted to create, say, purple with my, you know, I've got a watermark, I've got that one here. I've got red and blue. Oops. I'll just clean that brush off a bit. Blue's got a fairly strong pigment to it, this one. And if you didn't want, you can always like colour on another piece of paper too, and then take the colour off that piece of paper and put it onto your page with your watercolour too. So like for example, I could take the colour that I've mixed there and use it here, so that you're not actually ruining your actual page if you didn't want to work in with the blending and you just wanted the base colour. You can move colour around as well. So that's how I use my watercolours. Anyone got any other questions or anything that they would like to see or know? Just give you a couple of seconds. I'm just going to have a gulp of my cup of tea again before it gets really, really cold. And let me know if you've got any other questions. All good? No, Rachel's all good. All good, all good, all good. You're purple. Yay, great start. Yep, it definitely is, Nick. And I'll Nikki, I'll make sure I'll be doing heaps more different things each week, hopefully. I've got a whole list of things. Ree certainly knows about them. Different techniques and tips that I'm going to share with you all. But I thought this one to start off with was a good fun thing to start with, just to give you an idea, obviously, how to expand your colours that you've got within your collections. And then you've also got, obviously, your reference of your colour wheel, which you can keep handy. Tell me about your page if you like. Yeah, I can. Ree, if you want to maybe type it in, it's basically tonight's tutorial was done for the colouring, the colouring addicts, the 3 T's of colouring. Yep, but it's also, the 3 T's of colouring is also in conjunction with colouring in with Australia and New Zealand. Is that right? Ree, if you could type in what your page is. Sorry, I can't think. Colouring pages for adults, Australia and New Zealand. There we go. Thank you. You'll find that on Facebook. That colouring pages for adults, Australia and New Zealand is basically all about challenges and showing off your lovely creations that you've done within your colouring in books, and also your like pages and things. We have weekly challenges, etc. And then the 3 T's of colouring is an extension of the that page, and is basically for tips and tutorials. It started off being just me, but I'd love to see other people get involved as well and do some periscopes if they want to, or some tutorials or whatever. I have a little bit of knowledge, but I don't have all the knowledge. So I'd love to have other people come in and share what they've got in terms of colouring in tips. So yeah, so it's just not me. So, but anyway, if you're interested in colouring in books, thank you for all the hearts. Look at them all. They're all so pretty. Lots and lots of hearts. So yeah, if you're interested in colouring in and want to continue in colouring in, then yeah, you've got those 2 pages as well that you're welcome to join on Facebook. So that's all from me tonight, guys, on girls or whoever's on. I hope you enjoyed my little tutorial, and I will flick the camera around so you can see my face. If it moves, oh no. I'm trying to say bye. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we'll hopefully have another one for you next Sunday night. Thank you. Can't wait for my pens to arrive. Awesome. Yeah, textures is another area that I actually don't delve very much into. The textures, it's the Copics, but I will certainly have a few tutorials on how to use some funky ways of how to use textures and things like that too. So excellent. Thanks, Ree. Thanks. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Bye. Yay for Copics. Yes, Cassia. Yes, I love my Copics. I will see you guys later. Have a good night. Bye.